Welcome, everyone. My name is Hannah Sinaway, and I'm coming to you from IAVA, and I'm joined by James Fitzgerald from the New York City Veterans Alliance and Michael Aharoni from VetsEDU. We're here today to have a meaningful conversation about affordable housing, resources, and the VA home loan benefit. So I'll pass it over to James and Michael to do some brief introductions, and then James is going to go further into resources, affordable housing, equality. I'll do a brief overview on our Quick Reaction Force program, and then we'll close out the later portion of the presentation. Michael will give kind of a comprehensive overview of the VA home loan benefit. As a reminder to folks, please feel free to input questions into the Facebook Live chat. Victor from IAVA will be inputting information in there and taking in any questions that anyone has. When Michael's done with his presentation, we'll open it up for questions at that point. So thanks so much again for joining us, and I will pass it over to you for a quick introduction, Michael, and then James, you can kick off your portion.
Sure. Thanks, Hannah. Appreciate your time. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope everybody is healthy and doing well during COVID world, as we would say. My name is Michael Aharoni, Executive Director of VetsEDU. I'm excited to discuss with you about the VA home loan later in this presentation. So again, as Hannah said, any questions that you may have, please add them through the chat. Of course, I will be available afterwards and moving forward as well. So with that, I'll throw it over to James. I'm excited for you to see our presentation, and I look forward to speaking a little later today. James?
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Fitzgerald. I'm the Deputy Director of NYC Veterans Alliance. It's an absolute pleasure to join you all this evening or this afternoon to talk about some of the housing issues that we have planned to discuss. For me, being stationed in New York City, there is a couple of things that I'd like to bring up that are very specific to this area. But before then, I would like to bring you all in to understand a little bit more about NYC Veterans Alliance. We're an advocacy and community building organization. During COVID-19, we've shifted a lot of our focus to providing direct assistance to the veteran community here in the New York City metro area through our Veterans Mutual Aid program, which you can always request help through our veterans.nyc for our Veterans Mutual Aid program. But also, if you just want some additional information about housing resources that are available in New York City, you can always touch base with us, not only through our veterans.nyc, but you can connect with us via social media. Twitter is one of the easiest ways to find us. We're at NYC Vets Alliance on the Twitter machine, but we're also available on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you can use any of those mechanisms to connect with us and ask any questions that you may have about any housing related questions or just any questions in general about veteran benefits. But for me, like today, the topic of the hour is housing. So there's some things that I'd like to discuss in relation to New York City housing resources. Everything that I'm going to be discussing can be found on nycveteransalliance.org. We have an affordable apartment primer that describes a lot of the resources that are available to veterans and their families here in New York City. But I'm also going to describe some of those situations to you because some of them have slightly shifted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So to start off, I'm going to hit one of the most asked about questions through our Veteran Mutual Aid program, which is questions about evictions. Currently in New York State, Governor Cuomo has issued another eviction moratorium that's going to go through the end of this month. We're fully anticipating that that eviction moratorium is going to be extended. But if not, there are additional resources available for veteran families in order to stay in your homes and also remain in your communities. There's a program that's available to veteran families called Home Base. What it does is mainly focus on eviction prevention. So like once you're enrolled into the program, there are several mechanisms that activate in order to keep you in your home or find you affordable housing within your community so you can remain there safely with your family. A lot of these programs include wraparound services. So one of the additional benefits of home base is they get you connected to any kind of public benefits that you may be eligible for in order to enhance your position, to make sure that not only are you taken care of in the housing aspect, but also any kind of additional resources you may need, you're connected with them as well. So that's dealing with some of the information around evictions and some of the resources that you have available through those mechanisms. When it comes to affordable housing here in New York, luckily we have multiple lotteries that are utilized through our city services in order to connect veterans and their families to affordable housing. Many of those have been enhanced during the COVID-19 pandemic. As recently as July of 2020, they've revamped the lottery process to streamline it and make it more accessible for veterans and their families. And this is through the NYC Housing Connect program. Once you get onto that portal, it's going to connect you with all of the housing lotteries throughout the 5 boroughs. There's approximately 30 of these lotteries that are available to veterans and their families. So if one doesn't fit you, you have 29 others that you can look at to figure out which one is the best fit for you. And those will be going through our Housing Preservation and Development Department, and also the Housing Development Corporation here in New York City. So if you have any additional questions, you can always, once again, reach out to NYC Veterans Alliance, or you can connect with some of these city services directly. For our disabled veterans that are inside of New York City, one of the advantages that I'd like to let you all know about is rent stabilization or a rent freeze program that's available for a disabled veteran that has any service-connected disability that has been rated by the VA. If you fall into that category, you're automatically going to be placed in a position to where if you're in a rent stabilized building or you're in a situation in which you need a rent freeze, you're going to be eligible for that program. So number one, connect with us if you have any questions about if your building is eligible for this program, or if you have any additional questions about service-connected disabilities or VA ratings, you can always connect with us at ourveterans.nyc to connect with our Veteran Mutual Aid program in order to ask these specific questions about your situation. Continuing on with affordable housing, one of the greater advantages of being a veteran here in New York City is being able to take part in one of our housing programs, one of the older ones that was established back in the 1950s. It's the Mitchell-Lama program, which there are specific buildings within the 5 boroughs that provide a veteran's preference. So these are situations in which you will be signing up for these buildings along with the other individuals that reside in New York City, but because you are a veteran, you're going to be put at the top of that list. And those are always benefits that are worthwhile to know all the details about. So yet again, if you have a specific situation that you're currently in that you would like to know more information about, we're always here to answer those questions and get you the information that you need to make the most informed decision about your housing resources that are available to you. I think that those are some of the highlights for housing resources here in New York City. As I've mentioned a few times now, but I'm going to mention yet one more time, if you have any more specific questions that you would like to ask about your housing situation, we're always available either through social media. So NYC Vets Alliance on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you can always connect with us that way, or go directly to our Veterans Mutual Aid program through ourveterans.nyc, so you can connect with me and some of our other veteran operators so we can get you the answers and the information that you need for any of the housing situations that you're currently engaged in. With that, I appreciate I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all about some of these New York specific resources, but I am excited to hear more about some of the resources that are available connected to the VA loan. So with that, I think I'm going to kick it back to Michael so we can, or excuse me, I'm going to kick it back to Hannah so we can hear more about what IAVA is doing during the pandemic, but also some of the additional information that Hannah has for us today.
Perfect. Thank you, James. Those resources are so important, and we really appreciate you joining this talk today. So as James mentioned, I'm going to share some kind of broad information about housing resources for any veteran or family member in New York City, New York State, and also across the country. So one of IAVA's programs is called the Quick Reaction Force, and this is a comprehensive care management program. As I mentioned, we work with veterans and family members across the nation. We provide 24/7 peer support, connections to resources, and just all around advocacy and support around the clock. Since the pandemic has began, we've seen, unfortunately, a steep increase in need, which I know is not a big surprise to anybody. One of the things that we've been seeing, particularly related to housing, are increases in evictions, people looking for both temporary and permanent housing, and just overall anxiety about housing stability moving forward. So please, if anyone is in need, reach out to our program. We can be reached, as I mentioned, 24/7. You can call us at 855-91-RAPID. We'll pick that phone up live anytime you call, any day of the week, the weekend, it doesn't matter. We're here, we're waiting for you. And then you can also reach us digitally. So you can go to quickreactionforce.org, fill out a really, really brief intake, and we'll work around your schedule and either call or email you back within 24 hours. So we help with housing and really any other need that you're facing. We're going to be there to, triage, figure out what you need, how we can help you, and make sure that you're able to get your needs met, and move on to stable pathways. With that, I will now pass it over to Michael, who's going to provide us with a comprehensive overview of a great benefit, the VA home loan benefit. And just a reminder, folks, please feel free to input questions into the chat. We really want to hear from you. We're putting this on, to speak to you, to get information from you, and to really answer any questions that you have. So thank you. And with that, Michael, I will pass it off to you. I think you need to unmute.
Yep, sorry. Well, let me start over again. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. I appreciate you and the support in your organizations, IAVA and New York City Veterans Alliance, very close to us, and I thank you for this opportunity. As I said before, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Aharoni, Executive Director of VetsEDU. I do have a presentation that I'm going to share with all of you. So if I can work my technology directly, this will hopefully work. And we will be on our way. And let me do the following here. And perfect. Okay, everybody should hopefully be able to see my screen, I hope.
Yep, we can see it. Looks great.
Perfect. Excellent. All righty. So this is my contact information. I give you my personal cell phone, so you can definitely call, text, if you do have any questions outside of this presentation. This presentation and our whole workshop will be provided afterwards, so you can share it, and you can, of course, look it over and view it as many times as you like. My information will be given at the end of this as well. So in case that you haven't jotted it down yet, it will be there after the fact. So we shall move on. Let's talk about a little bit about who we are and what VetsEDU is. The VetsEDU organization started in August of 2017. I flew down to Puerto Rico and I met with the first Hispanic woman to ever be a general in the armed forces, by the name of Marta Carcana. General Carcana ran the Puerto Rican National Guard. I pitched her the idea of VetsEDU. She became my partner, retired. Fast forward a few months, I had the privilege of traveling our great nation, meeting with a lot of the adjutant generals in hopes to provide this service that we wanted to build for our military and active military families. Fast forward to today, the VetsEDU organization is in fact the largest 501c3 not-for-profit military real estate educational organization in the nation. We are actually the only real estate organization that has an approval from the Secretary of the Air Force, the Joint Chiefs of Staff from the Department of Defense. We have been vetted by the top military organizations, the National Guard Bureau, ROTC, Military One Source, et cetera, et cetera. If you go to our website, you can see our letters, our testimonials, and so forth. The VetsEDU organization is here to educate, advocate, and protect you, the veteran, from predatory lenders and realtors, and to help you and guide you through the VA home loan process. In my opinion, the VA home loan is probably the greatest benefit that you have outside of the GI Bill. And a lot of people may not understand how it really works. There may be people out there that would take advantage of our veterans. So we are here as an organization supported by our fellow VSOs, supported by our military to go out and to help you. All of our services are completely free. We take you through the whole entire process, through the lending, the real estate, the attorneys, the title, the inspections, you name it. So we are here as your advocate. We are here to educate you through the whole entire process. You are under no obligation to use our services. However, of course, we recommend that you do so we can guide you and protect you properly. Enough about me, enough about the VetsEDU organization. Let's get into the nit and grit of the VA home loan. I'm only going to touch upon a lot of topics, but not go into too much detail because we'll be here for 5 hours. I can talk forever. So as we go along, take notes. If in fact you do want to ask questions, please provide that in the chat and we will answer them after the fact. Just as a side note, I may pause as my computer decides to not work with me today. So if I am paused, just let me know. My team will let me know, and then I'll just regroup again. So I apologize in advance if I do get cut off and I do pause. So what is the VA home loan? The VA home loan is a no money down loan. That does not mean that there is no money. There is no such thing as free in this world, as we all know, and we hope it's free, but there's no such thing as free in this world. So no money down does not mean no money. There are closing costs involved with purchasing a house. So even though you don't need to put any money down, you need closing costs. What are closing costs? Home inspection, appraisals, attorneys, title fees, home insurance. We'll get into that a little later. The rule of thumb that I like to tell all of my veterans is at least have 1% of your purchase price in the bank. So if you're going to go for a $400,000 house, and I'm going to use the $400,000 number throughout today, that will be our point of reference. If we go buy a $400,000 house, my rule of thumb is have at least $4,000 in the bank. You do not want to go purchase a house if you're living paycheck to paycheck or you don't have any savings, right? You need to be ready to become a homeowner, and we'll talk about that a little later. There is no PMI insurance. PMI is private mortgage insurance. There's no prepayment penalties on a VA loan. You can reuse your VA loan more than once. You can hold more than one VA loan at the same time. We'll get into that a little later as well. So who is eligible for a VA home loan? 6 years in the Guard or Reserve, or active military for at least 90 days in wartime, 180 in peacetime, or you've been deployed. Now, just recently, last week, it was signed into as a bill that anyone on Title 32 COVID mission for at least a 90-day span can be eligible for the VA home loan. This is huge because usually before this, before COVID world, like I said, you were only eligible if you did your 6 years Guard or Reserve, deployed, or have been on Title 10. Now they're opening up to the COVID mission of Title 32, minimum of 90 days. We are waiting for the VA to release that circular in order to make that official for our veterans. But please note, the law has been signed. Title 32 COVID mission is now eligible for VA home loan. You can purchase a 1 to 4 family house, VA approved condos, no co-ops, no commercial, no land. You cannot purchase a co-op because you don't own a co-op, you own shares of a co-op. Commercial land, unfortunately, you just can't buy with a VA home loan. The VA home loan must be owner occupied. Remember that, because I'm going to get back to that later. It must be owner occupied, and your co-borrowers must be a legal spouse and or another veteran. You cannot have your mother, father, brother, sister, Joe Schmo off the street, you know, whoever you want. It has to be either a legal spouse or another veteran. The property also needs to meet minimum property requirements. What I like to say is, as long as you can move into the house without having to do any work to it, forget cosmetics, I'm talking structurally, then it should pass the minimum property requirements. If the roof is damaged, the foundation is damaged, there's holes in the walls, the windows are broken, that is something that would not meet the minimum property requirements. There is no VA loan limit anymore. So if you make enough income to show $1 million house purchase, you can buy a $1 million home with a VA home loan with no money down. Remember, there are closing costs, but no money down. That's huge. You can also reuse your VA home loan, as I've said before. So you can use it many times. You can buy a house VA, then refinance, then go buy another house VA, and we'll get into that a little later. And you can also combine 2 VA home loans as well. You have to be within the VA guideline limits based on where you're located in the country. I will not get into this in detail because everybody is different, but please note, you can have 2 VA loans at the same time, up to a certain limit, depending on where you live. What to look out for. This is one of the main reasons why the VetsEDU organization was started and is who we are today. We protect you from predatory lenders. The reason why you see on our screen some of these banks is not because I'm trying to throw them under the bus, but because if you Google any of those names and you put down VA home loan scam or VA home loan lawsuit, you're going to see all of these banks have either been sued or have lost their VA bond because they take advantage of veterans. They overcharge veterans on their fees. They uptick their rates. They bait and switch. You would think one of these big name banks, as you're seeing on my screen, oh, I thought they were amazing. Everybody talks so great about them. Well, they may talk great about them because they may not know any different. And that is why we put these workshops on, because we're here to protect you, the veteran. So you need to look out for predatory lenders as you're going out and understand what to look for. A bank could charge up to 1% of fees on your loan. So if you're buying a $400,000 house, a bank could charge you $4,000. However, in my world, and I know in a lot of other veteran world, why should you even get charged being a veteran? So all of the lenders that we work with do not charge anything. You should not be charged anything, no bank fees at all. In addition to that, You may have seen, I think maybe 2 years ago, was it? All these days are blended together now. You've seen stuff as the VA has owed out a lot of money from disability ratings. Please note that if you do have a disability rating, 10% or higher, you are exempt from the funding fee. What is the funding fee? The funding fee is a fee that the VA charges for you to use the VA home loan. If you have a disability rating of 10% or higher, you are disabled. You have a disability rating, you are exempt from the funding fee. Unfortunately, a lot of these banks charged the funding fee when the veteran was exempt. So you need to make sure, if you decide to go out on your own and not use our organization, if you are exempt, please make sure you are in fact not paying that funding fee. If you are paying that funding fee, please make sure it is added to your loan. You should not have to come out of pocket to pay it. You can, but please make sure it is added to your loan. Let's talk about rates. A lot of people are saying, oh, I want the best rate. I want the best rate. What's your rate? And they go rate shopping. Let me advise against that. What you see in the public, if you're looking at rates, Navy Federal, USAA, whatever bank you decide to go with, if you're looking at their rates, or you call them, hey, what's your rate today? They're going to tell you what you want to hear because they want your business. But what you don't understand, or what you don't see in the fine print, is that that rate costs you money. Okay? You want to make sure that you get the lowest rate possible at no cost. Can you buy down your rate? Of course. That's a whole nother conversation. But you want to make sure that the rate that you're getting is in fact the lowest rate. Through our organization, because we are a government contractor, I will get you the lowest rate possible at no cost. So you won't even have to worry about rate shopping, as they say. Because what I don't want to happen is what USAA does. They tell you a rate, you go find a house, 4 months later, you're in contract, USAA comes back and says to you, that's not your rate, this is now your rate. And you say, well, you told me that my rate was 2.5. Why is my rate 3% now? Well, I told you that 4 months ago. Now it's 4 months later. I don't want that to happen to you. I have a lot of people calling saying that that happens, and I want to help try to avoid that with you. Pre-approvals, pre-qualifications. You need to make sure that you get a pre-approval and not a pre-qualification. A pre-approval is when you submit documents to a bank, they look at your income, they look at your credit, and they issue you a pre-approval. If you call USAA, USAA is not going to give you they're not going to ask you for your documents. They're just going to say to you, hey, what's your income? What do you think your credit is? Let me run it. And they're just going to issue you what's called a pre-qualification, not a pre-approval. And I don't mean to pick on these banks, right? USAA is a great insurance bank. They suck as a mortgage bank, pardon my language, right? So you need to know what everybody's role is and what their strong points are and what they do, right? You need to be protected while you're going for this great benefit that you have. You also want to use direct VA lenders. There are banks that have a direct VA, that have direct VA access, and that there are lenders that do not. You want to make sure that you associate yourself with a bank that has direct VA access, and you want to try to stay away from mortgage brokers. Nothing against mortgage brokers, right? Nothing against them, but with the VA home loan, how do you think mortgage brokers get paid? They have to get paid somehow. And if the bank's going to pay the mortgage broker, they're going to have to charge you, the veteran, a fee. So try to stay away from those mortgage brokers. You want to go with a direct VA lender or an organization like the VetsEDU organization. Next, getting you pre-approved. So what is a pre-approval? Okay. A bank will ask you, or if you come through the VetsEDU organization, we're going to ask you for documents to provide. You need to show your income, right? It's if you're employed, self-employed, W-2, if you just have disability income, Social Security income, if you're not working and you're just getting VA money, that's income, right? Any income we need to see supported. Credit. Let's talk about credit, because this is probably a place where a lot of veterans, and there's a lot of miscommunication out there of what your credit needs to be for a VA home loan. In COVID world, being here January 14th, 2021, I'm stating the date, so in case someone watches this a year later, they know what today's date is. Being in COVID world, January 14th, the credit score that you should have is a 620 or higher. Can you have lower? You can, but to make it easy for yourself, you should have a 620 or higher. Now, what your score is and what's on your credit is very different. I don't necessarily care what your score is. I care more about what's on your credit. So let me give you an example. Veteran A comes to me. Their credit score is 620. They have very little debt. A clean credit. They're just, unfortunately, missed a few payments back in the day. Haven't really gotten their credit up, but they're a 620. Veteran B comes and their credit is a 680, and they have charge-offs, collections, bankruptcies. The veteran that has a 620 credit score will actually be approved faster than the veteran with the 680. So I don't care really what your score is. Yes, I would like it 620 or higher, but I care more what's on it. Okay. Your debt to income ratio needs to be low enough. You cannot have so much debt that your income cannot support. We as an organization do a lot of credit repair. I'm going to get to our credit repair a little later, so we can talk about that if in fact you need help with your credit. And that's where the safeguard credit counseling comes in. Okay. Student debt. If your student debt is deferred for more than 1 year, we do not calculate that in your debt to income ratio. So student debt should not have any effect on you if it's deferred for more than a year. Okay. If your student debt if you're paying your student debt currently, and or you're gonna start paying it within the year of you purchasing a house, then the bank uses a portion of your monthly payment as your student debt. I don't know off the top of my head what that percentage is.
And Michael, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure if others are as well. Are you able to hear me?
Show your assets that you have money. Remember that 1% rule of thumb. Oh, okay. Yep. I paused a little, didn't I?
Yeah, it sounds like you're back now.
Yep. Now I'm back. Yep. See, I knew it was going to happen. I called it. Now we should be good to go, smooth sailing.
Great.
So I'm going to backtrack talking about assets. So bank accounts, market accounts, retirement accounts, rental income, anything that you can show asset-wise, we want to see. Remember, that rule of thumb, a minimum of 1% in the bank. We'd like to see 6 months worth of mortgage payments. I know not everybody has it. We would like to see it. That would make us all feel fuzzy inside and warm. But it's not a requirement. I just put it in there because we always like for you to have reserves. Let's talk about closing costs, and this is a big thing as well. With the VA home loan, the VA allows you to include up to 4% of what's called a seller's concession. In other words, you're financing your closing costs. So I'm going to go back to my $400,000 example. You're going to go buy a house for $400,000. Your mortgage would be $416,000. 4% of 400,000 is 16,000. So you're buying a house for 400, but your mortgage is 416,000. You are financing $16,000 of your closing costs. Now I'm going to pick on Long Island because that's where I'm from, Long Island, New York. My closing costs here to purchase a house are anywhere between 5 to 6% of the property. So if I'm going to buy a $400,000 house and my closing costs are going to be $20,000, and the VA is only allowing me to include 16,000, remember that 4%. So the VA is allowing me to include 16,000. My closing costs are 20,000. Who do you think's coming up with that remaining $4,000? You are. What's my rule of thumb? At least 1% of money in the bank. There is your $4,000. So even though the VA home loan is no money down, that does not mean no money. Depending on where you want to buy in the country, you may be able to roll in all of your closing costs. You may not even need to come up with any money. But in other parts of the country, like here on Long Island, you will need money in addition to your seller's concession. Okay. To make it even harder, unfortunately, the house has to appraise for that amount. So the house has to appraise for what you're including your closing costs in. In today's COVID world, unfortunately, we are in a crazy, crazy market. A lot of buyers are paying their own closing costs. It is very hard to get a full seller's concession in today's market. So I do highly suggest you have money saved so we are able to get you in a better position to get an accepted offer to get you a house. Again, I'm only touching base. I'm not going into too much detail because, again, we'll be here forever. All right, real estate and other mortgage programs. Okay, must pick a good real estate agent. A lot of real estate agents out there think they know their VA loan. They don't. A lot of real estate agents will say to you, why are you going VA? Go FHA. A lot of banks will say that. The VA home loan is the greatest loan you could use if you are eligible to receive it, to use it, I should say. There's nothing else out there better than a VA home loan. Now, I know there's a lot of states that have first-time home buyer programs. Like, for example, New York has what's called Sony May, right? First-time home buyer programs. First-time home buyer programs, great programs. The VA home loan, superior to all of that. That is why the VA home loan is such a huge vehicle. Do not let an agent or a banker, lender, try to convince you to go another route if you can use your VA home loan. Technically, you can buy short sales, foreclosures, fixer-uppers, as-is properties with a VA home loan. However, it is very hard to buy those types of properties because, remember, they have to meet the minimum property requirements. So there is such thing as a VA rehab loan, where the VA will give you up to $30,000 to rehab the place, or a VA construction loan, which is basically giving you money to renovate a foreclosure. Now you're probably saying to yourself, oh, this is amazing. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but the VA is not doing any more VA construction loans for the time being because of COVID. So do they exist? Yes. Can you use them? No. So I want to try to avoid short sales, foreclosures, fixer-uppers, as-is properties. Try to avoid that. You can go what's known as an FHA 203K route. That is when you put 3.5% down. So you can put 3.5% down, go buy yourself a foreclosure, fix up the foreclosure, and then once it's all fixed, then refinance the property back into a VA. So there's cash out refinances and streamlined refinances. Okay. Cash out is when you have a house currently and you have equity in your house and you want to pull money out. That's what a cash out is. A streamline is when you go from when you currently have a VA and you want to lower your rate. Anybody that has a 4% rate or higher currently today, you should give me a call. We can definitely save you money before the rates start going up again. Anybody with a 4% rate or higher that is listening today, January 14th, 2021, please give us a call. We can definitely save you money monthly on your mortgage before the rates go up. You can go from an FHA to a VA. You can go from a VA to an FHA. You can go conventional to VA, VA to conventional, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll get into that a little later as to show you why. You can do conventional mortgages, 5 to 20% down, or if you want to build a home. And a lot of people call me and say to me, how do I build a home? Okay. There's two ways to build a home, right? Land loan or a developer. So if you want to purchase land, you can't purchase land with a VA home loan. So you would purchase it with what's called a land loan. Then you would find a developer to build your house. You would be able to do a VA construction loan, but as I said, unfortunately, because of COVID, they're not doing that anymore. So the best way to build a house, if you have land, is to find a developer, a builder, that's going to build your house for you. You can give the land as collateral, or
And Michael, we're having a hard time hearing you again.
you can do a streamline refinance. All right, the last two topics that I want to discuss, well, and then credit. And this is where everybody's ears start perking up and everybody starts waking up every time I do these workshops. Some people say, wow, this is a great information. I'm so excited. This is amazing. There's still no way I'm affording a house, especially here on Long Island, where the taxes are outrageous. Well, guess what? There is a special formula that a lot of veterans don't realize the benefits that they have, that they can afford a house. And
Michael, we're having a hard time hearing you.
again, every state and county is different. So here on Long Island, I live in a house. Here I am. My taxes are $12,000. My neighbor is a veteran. His taxes are $12,000. Okay? So I and him, the veteran, or her, will get a star rebate. right? That's your taxes, that's your star rebate, your school exemption that you get every year. So now our $12,000 in taxes are now 11,000. And I'm just going to use round numbers just to prove my point and show you that there's actually hope in the world for you to become a homeowner. Just for being a veteran living on Long Island, you get 15% off your taxes. So here I am, non-veteran, my taxes are 11,000, case closed. My neighbor's a veteran. His taxes from 11,000 with the star discount now is $10,000. Now he's a combat veteran, or she's a combat veteran. You get an additional 10% off. So being a combat veteran, you get 25% off your taxes here on Long Island. So I'm paying $12,000 in taxes, non-veteran. My neighbor who's a veteran, he or she is going to be paying $9,000 in taxes. That is a huge difference. And then if you have a disability rating, depending on the town you live in, you get an additional percentage off. So if you hit the jackpot and you are a combat disabled veteran, your taxes are significantly less on Long Island than a non-veteran. So if you're saying to yourself, I cannot afford Long Island, think again. You definitely can. New Jersey. You go to Linden, New Jersey. Linden, New Jersey, you get $250. That's it. That's all you get. $250. Compared to Long Island, where you're getting 25% off. So you see, every state and county is different. But guess what? Have no fear, New Jerseyans. If you are 100% disabled, total and permanent, 100% disabled, total and permanent, you have zero taxes in New Jersey. You don't have any property taxes. You are exempt. So you can go from the extreme of just $250 off to Long Island, 25% off. Back to New Jersey, if you're 100% total and disabled permanent, total and permanent, you have no property taxes. So please do not let the numbers discourage you. Talk to somebody like myself. Let's get you into home ownership. You've deserved it. You have this benefit.
Michael, you've cut out again. And you're back.
Oh, I went again. That's nice.
We can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So my apologies. So a lot of people come to me with the VA home loan and they say, how can I invest in real estate using my VA home loan? If you remember, I said the VA home loan is owner occupied. So how do I do this, right? How can I buy an investment property with my VA home loan if technically it's not owner occupied? Well, guess what? There's always ways around it, right? And hopefully nobody's listening. No, just kidding. It's all legal, all legal. So let's say that you live on Long Island, you work in New York City, you want to buy an investment property in Queens, okay? You don't want to move to Queens because you want the Long Island school districts and area, but you want to buy a house closer to Queens with your VA loan. So what the VA is going to say is, wait a second, why are you not moving closer to work? That doesn't make any sense, right? Why would you, I'm sorry, reverse that. Why would you still stay in Long Island? Why are you going to live further away from New York? right? Why would you live further away from work? Okay. So you live in Long Island, you want to buy in Queens, right? With a VA home loan. You're moving closer to work. If you live in Queens and you want to buy on Long Island, the VA is going to say, why are you moving further away from work? Right? You still live in Queens. You plan on still staying in Queens, right? But you want to buy in Long Island. Well, the story is, I want a better school district. I want to get out of the city. I want to live on Long Island. I want to be closer to my family. So we have to build a story where the VA will understand why you're buying this property further away from work. So we buy it as a VA loan, and then you can rent it out. Again, I'm only giving you snippets of it, and I know I made it a little complicated in the beginning, and I apologize that my thought process got twisted around. But there are ways to build wealth with real estate and situations and scenarios where we can come up with where you can buy an investment property with a VA home loan, but the story needs to make sense, right? The story needs to make sense. If you live in Queens and you work in the city and you want to buy an investment property in Florida, that's not going to work, right? What story are you going to make that why you're going to Florida? Yes, you could say that now you're virtual, you work virtually, you can live anywhere, right? We could say that because of COVID world, but the story has to be realistic. I live in a one family, I want to buy a 2-family investment property. Okay, well, that 2-family I'm going to move into, and I need to move in my parents, right? My parents need to live with me. That's a story, right? We can use that story as to why you're moving into that 2-family. Now, between you and I, no one is walking, no one's knocking on your door, nobody's checking, right? Unless it's Halloween, of course. But all your neighbors hate you. But there are ways to use your VA home loan to your advantage by building wealth with real estate. And again, I know I sounded a little confusing in the beginning, got my words twisted, and I apologize, but talk to me because it is complicated, as you could see, and I want to make sure that I properly explain it to you, given your particular situation, as everybody is in fact different. Now let's talk about that credit, as we discussed. So the VetsEDU organization has teamed up with a not-for-profit HUD-approved agency called Safeguard Housing. If your credit is not up to the par or it's not to that 620, you can go to any credit counseling organization and they're going to charge you monthly, right? Or you can go through a credit counseling through a lender, right? And remember, they want you to use their lender, so it's not going to be as streamlined as you would hope.
Michael, I think you've cut out again.
Access to FinLocker, which is a financial porter, and make sure, I just want to make sure that, okay, I'm back. And to make sure that your credit is in fact up to par, okay? We want to make sure that you are ready to become a homeowner, okay? This program run by Safeguard is a one-time fee of $250. Has nothing to do with me. I don't see the money. It goes right to Safeguard. They're just an organization that we partnered up with in order to help you get to home ownership. One-time fee of $249, and you get this program in order to help your credit. Again, no obligation. You can do your credit on your own. You can call me and we could talk about your credit. I just wanted to give you this option so you know that you have something in your back pocket if you do need that credit help. Our organization is very critical in what we do and how we do it. We are not in the business to make you a homeowner. We are in the business to make sure you can become a homeowner. Very different, right? At the end of the day, you can call any lender out there. They have quotas to hit. What they want is to close your loan. We here as an organization with VetsEDU, with the support of IAVA, New York City Veterans Alliance, other VSOs, we want to make sure you are ready to be a homeowner. We want to educate you, protect you, advocate for you, guide you in the right direction of how to use your VA home loan. I know I went through a lot quickly today. I hope you got a gist of what we do and what the VA home loan is. As I said, and I'll say again, I sound like a broken record. There's a lot more involved with some of these things, as you've seen, with building wealth or your credit or refinancing or building your home. Please utilize me, use me, call us, use my team, and we'll definitely help and guide you in that right direction. So I first want to say thank you all for your service. I want to thank IAVA, New York City Veterans Alliance, for allowing me to do this. I apologize for the little mishap through my internet connection. Here is my all of my contact information. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm going to open it back up to Hannah, James, and Victor, and the whole team here. Again, I want to thank everybody. I do hope that you found what I did was pleasing and that it was what you wanted and it was informative. The last time we did this, we had over 5,000 people. So let's try to beat that number. And I hope for the best, and I hope everyone stays healthy. And I flip it back to the both of you, and I thank you, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. That was great information. James, anything else that you want to add? Just connected with Victor, and I think there weren't any specific questions that came in. So maybe we could each just close it out and remind folks of our contact info. I'm sure there are questions out there. People may just want to reach out individually. And as we do that, Victor will also input that information into the chat so folks have it visually as well. So James, I'll hand it over to you for some closing thoughts, if that works from your end.
Absolutely. Number one, thank you, Michael. Like, I was diligently taking notes during the presentation because home ownership is one of those things, like, there are many complex issues that are tied to it, but you definitely simplified it to make it easy for me to absorb. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, IAVA, for partnering for this to provide this information. For NYC Veterans Alliance, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, you can find information for New York specific information on nycveteransalliance.org in order to get information about our affordable apartment primer. If you'd like to connect with us in a more specific way to either get assistance about housing issues or just get additional assistance in general, you can always find us at ourveterans.nyc. There you can register for our Veterans Mutual Aid program, in which you will be connected to veteran operators such as myself that are standing by to provide any kind of relevant information that you require to make it through this current time, but also just answer any questions and provide any resources that can be helpful to you. So nycveteransalliance.org, ourveterans.nyc, in order to check out those resources. If you'd like to connect with me, James Fitzgerald, Deputy Director of NYC Veterans Alliance, my email is james@nycveteransalliance.org. If you have any questions about the presentation, any questions about any veteran issues, I'm more than willing to field those. So please feel free to reach out and contact me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, James. Thanks again to both of you and all the great work that you're doing for veterans and their families in New York City and beyond. Just as a reminder to folks out there, our Quick Reaction Force is standing by to assist 24/7. You can give us a call at 855-91-RAPID, or you can find us online at quickreactionforce.org, and we'll respond back to you promptly. All three of these organizations are standing by to assist. We're here for you. We work together to meet your needs. So we really appreciate your time. And thanks again, both to you, James, and also Michael as well. Really appreciate you joining today.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'm happy we were able to do this. Stay healthy and God bless.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you.